Sometimes strange things happen. Sometimes unbelievable and remarkable things occur that we simply cannot fathom, and sometimes, if it gets enough attention, people go way out on a limb as theories range from probable to impossible. When we see these things, these mysteries, you need to be deduced. Welcome to Deduced, the once-a-month series where I take a question to task and give what I believe it leads down to. Today I take on a subject that some would consider perfect. I will tell you what I believe the cats that we have that take care of the mice and the rats and that are both loved and hate us are trying to tell us. So what is it that has won our hearts over? What are our kitties trying to tell us? What sort of mystery do these animals have that can be opened up? Get some catnip, sit back, relax, and let's get started. FRAP stands for Frantic Random Attack Pattern. I'm sure you've noticed how many kitties all of a sudden run around like crazy, going up and down furniture, cabinets, and people. It seems they do this for a while before finally tiring out and falling asleep again. So what is it? Why do cats do this? It's actually very simple to explain. Cats are, by their nature, predators. They have a large store of energy in order to ambush their prey and run them down. It's easy to see with the larger counterparts, watching how they chase down their next meal. With those we call pets, though, they don't need to chase down meals as we basically take care of them. But the energy buildup still needs to be burned off. That's basically all it is. As mentioned, cats are hunters by nature. It's the reason they like chasing down things and enjoy toys that they can bat around. This is basically the reason they like toys that roll, toys that can use their teeth and claws on. It's all part of their predatory natures, and it is, in their own way, they're practicing for hunting. But there is one thing they seem to always go crazy for: laser pointers and direct light. You know what I mean. They seem to focus, laser sharp, pun intended, on the tiny points and try to get these annoying points at all costs. There are all sorts of interactive toys that they get to practice on and to see how they can work it in. It's simple for this part. All cats vocalize. That simply cannot be denied. But what do those vocalizations mean? It's actually pretty simple for most and can be seen in the big cats. There are simply three types: the declaration, the warning, and the other one to indicate they want to have more kitties. In the wild, big cats have to vocalize in order to tell others that they are there, that they're calling family home, and that they're telling others to wake up. That's the declaration. They also vocalize to tell someone to leave them alone, or they will face the fury of a very big, very dangerous animal will try to kill them. The warning continues clear through, but unless one cat is battling another for the top tier of their social group or trying to get in with the top female, it doesn't really go much further than that. Usually they just warn each other over and over, trying to look bigger until they break it off. I don't think I need to tell you what being in heat means. But then we get to the house cat. It's a totally different set, aside from the same as big cats, as the smaller version can let us know when they want to be petted or fed or anything. Sometimes they get really curious or get upset when they can't get what they want. It's so interesting that, when cared for by us, who have larger vocalizations that mean something more, they pick up on that habit. We can even hear when they get frustrated and they can't get at them they want to hunt. And if you've heard it, you know what I mean. Yet the truth of it comes out that it's not quite as simple as other pets. In fact, it's almost a language that each cat individually creates, one that would communicate between owners and each individual kitty. There are many who believe that cats simply can't be trained. This is by those that also have dogs, which are easy to train. You see, dogs get the reward for doing things right by listening to their owner's voice and actions. If you have a dog you're teaching to fetch, you give them a scratch and tell them they're good puppies for doing it. Same as if they're taught anything else. Cats can't be trained the same way because their focus is always on the here and now and the anticipation of it. This is easiest to see with one very simple example. Let's say you want to teach a cat to not jump up on the table. Many would think the only way is to show a furious face and a water gun or a squirt bottle. But that's where the mistake is made. If you do that, the cat would probably wonder why you suddenly went crazy and started to attack. Sure, they'll learn that you will do this action only at a certain point, but it's not actual training as they can jump up whenever they don't see you. No, the way to do it is to hide around the corner. When you see the cat considering jumping up there, which is pretty easy to figure out, it's then you use the squirt gun, hitting them from behind and quickly taking everything back out of sight. They'll begin to realize that if they're even thinking of jumping up there, will pretty much be rewarded with something they don't like. It also works with positive reinforcement, and they will learn when they do good things that it is a good thing they're doing. I'll tell you a little about that later. There's a book out there with a rather interesting title. It's called How to Live with a Neurotic Cat. But here's the fun. Pretty much all cats are neurotic. But there are clear signs if a cat is actually the eccentric, crazy, adventurous described above, and cats that have actual psychological trauma. So many things such as excessive shedding, isolationism, and, interesting enough, inappropriate elimination, by which I mean they don't use cat boxes, even if they're clean. Now, I have a cat that has clear signs of anxiety. She absolutely hates being picked up. She has a problem with cat boxes, and there are times she will stay absolutely away from everyone else. This was how she was when my wife and I got her. She'd been shuffled around from house to house. Some of them had dogs as well as small children. So, how do we explain it? How would you feel if you were passed from one home to another, from cat shelters back and forth? You get pretty jaded and pretty tense, wouldn't you? But the fun part is what is going on with her now. Sure, I have a lot of laundry, basically because she has realized that unless she goes on the towel or the blanket I use to cover my chairs, she'll get picked up. And yet she has stopped her issue of shedding. Heck, she used to be scared to death of lightning storms, usually going to hide behind the toilet or in a hidden corner of the far room, but she doesn't do that anymore. I give her affection and attention when she needs it, generally negative reinforcing when she needs that as well. It's still going to be a while, but I do suspect that sooner or later she'll get the idea that she won't be shipped back and handed off to someone else. I also keep reinforcing that she's my baby girl, and that she's okay if she wants to check out what I'm trying to eat. It might be she'll even start using the cat box like it's supposed to be used sooner or later. So yes, it is possible to have a really neurotic cat, but like with humans, and a bit of patience, a bit of positive reinforcement for good things, and you may get the kitty enough help that she'll start behaving normal. Yes, this image is Princess. She is my good luck charm. I posed a question to social media a while ago, whether cats are social creatures that can live solitary lives or solitary creatures that can adapt to social societies. Once again, if we look into the pattern of other cats, it becomes obvious which is the ideal. Many big cat species can live as both. Lions and leopards all live in familial units. I know they're prideful lions, but I don't know what the leopards is. Cheetahs also do the same, but cougars only get together when the ladies are feeling rather warm, and tigers, although sticking close to mom in cub stage, prefer having their own hunting grounds. But is it really that obvious? Let's take a look at house cats. Over my life, I've had 5 cats. My wife helped me pick them out before she passed, or I should say, she actually picked them out. And while some have gone on sleeping, if you know what I mean, the final 2 have had an interesting sort of bond. It is one thing that helps being able to handle a new cat and getting that cat scent marker on your hands before handling and mixing it with the one who's already there. Still, just because they can't mingle, they can actually do just fine on their own. It's interesting to watch feral colonies as they try to establish their rules. And it was interesting when I tried to save as many feral cats as I could, watching how they tended to relax when the sounds from outside were subdued. One in particular seemed surprised when I showed her that I wouldn't harm her if I touched her. They can be social creatures, socializing with humans, but bringing another cat in would only add stress, and they would have to adapt. One of the biggest questions that is actually very easy to answer is whether we should keep our kitties indoors or let them run around outside. And the answer might surprise you. In studying feral cats, it's obvious they don't have time to waste with things like comfort or simply eating. They must live as their larger cousins, hunting and scavenging whenever possible. But the reality of it is they would likely die very soon. In fact, it's almost a certainty. I could go on about diseases and dangers outside. I could tell you a number of reasons right off the top of my head when I talk about this subject, but I'll only tell what my math brain will let you see. Cats that are feral, as well as cats that are let outside, have a maximum average lifespan of 3 years. Sometimes more, but oftentimes less. Cats that are indoors only live, on average, at least 20 years. And the oldest cat I've ever heard of lived 32 years. And in order to figure out how old she was in cat years, we need to apply something different than the multiply by 7 rule for dogs. It gets a little complicated, but here's the breakdown. During a cat's first 2 years, he will age, human-wise, to 18. That breaks down to a birthday every 3 months. So from 2 years old until 10, it's 3 years to every human year. That's a birthday every 4 months. From 10 years on, it's every 6 months, or 2 years to a human year. So yes, if you're mathematically inclined or you have a calculator handy, that means that that cat that lived 32 years by this formula lived to be over 100 human years old. So I think it's pretty clear which direction I point towards. There'll be some who point out that cats need stimulation, so sending them outside isn't actually that bad. That would be true, but would you tell a human child to head outside to play and do whatever they want? No, of course not. You'd never see the dangers and be able to protect them. As it is, there are special cat harnesses available in pet supply stores that can clip around their bodies and be attached to leashes. They probably hate it at first, but being able to walk your cat will still allow them to play outside, but with easy, controllable reach. I can't say this enough. One of our first cats we had declawed because, basically, he had a habit of scratching up a certain spot on the floor and he was tearing up some furniture. He had a habit of diving headfirst into the love seat we kept right through the cushions until he was underneath. Since his name was Bear, we called it the Bear Cave. But we had him declawed. That was before we learned what it actually entails. Take a look at your fingernails. Now, what would you do to make sure you could never have to worry about them anymore? The best answer is to chop the finger off at the first knuckle. Sounds barbaric, right? In order to declaw a cat, basically ruining one of the primary defense mechanisms, you have to remove that part of the claws that are actually attached to. You basically have to chop off their fingers at the first knuckle. Believe me though, with Bud, it goes a little tiring sometimes. I have to remind him gently every once in a while that his claws are sharp. Won't go into that much more than saying that Prentice already had her front paws declawed. I won't say which one is the right way to go. As usual, I'm only sharing my opinion on the issue. It may be that in order to save your furniture, it's a viable choice, just like another concept. Here I'm talking about spraying. This is when a cat basically decides to urinate on something strictly to mark the territory as theirs and nobody else's. It's a little shocking to see, but it's something that can actually be mitigated with one little procedure. I think it was in the movie Shrek 2 where it was called the Bob Barker procedure. And it also helps with something much more than spraying. And believe it or not, it's also something that can help your kitty live longer. What is it? It's having their ability to make little kitties remove. I'm sure, for those of you who have cats that go outside, I don't need to mention what these are. Usually they leave a dead bird or mouse on your pillow or somewhere else they think you'll find it. But the big question is, why? There are those that look at this concept and think they have it figured out. Cats are predators after all. So when they look at us, they think we're awful at hunting. So they leave these offerings as a way to help. I think it's a little more than that. You see, the main reason cats have the hunter instinct is to make sure they can eat. It's essential to a cat's survival to be able to have food, so they focus on that. Sure, when they're under the care of humans, they learn they don't really have to worry about that. After all, the human puts the food in a bowl and they can eat whatever they want to and feel satisfaction from that. But they see this. They know the food is coming from a human that they never see going on the hunt, and that the humans have food they never saw being caught and killed. So it makes them wonder if perhaps the humans are the superior hunters. It's a common sight in the animal kingdom, an alpha as they're called, or a leader who provides the rest of the social group with protection and with direction. These alphas are usually the ones who have the superior skills. But what's more interesting is that usually, even when someone else takes something down, the alpha has the choice of whether or not to take it for themselves or to share it with the rest of them. So they leave an offering to try and placate their alphas, to try and show respect. It is, in fact, to leave one of their kills. And that brings me to the final deduction. There are many assumptions about cats that are simply wrong. For one thing, cats and dogs are not mortal enemies. In fact, there are many households with both, and they can live together quite happily. The only reason a dog chases a cat is because when the dog wants to play, the cat doesn't. But it doesn't mean they hate each other. I don't believe cats think they are superior to humans in any way. As mentioned above, when cats always have enough food and water and places to eliminate the after effects of both, namely cat boxes, they will learn to be grateful. They can also be trained. My first queen cat, Baby Girl is what I called her, had no idea why I would toss one of her toy balls away and ask her to bring it back. She had no idea what the concept of fetching was. With patience, a bit of humor, and a little coaxing, she found great joy in the game. In fact, later on, it came to be quite a favorite of hers. I'd be sitting down, and she'd be bringing something for me to throw. If I ignored it, she'd pick it up and bring it closer. And it didn't matter what it was. She let me know when she wanted to play. And then, at last, we get to catnip, or like my wife used to call it, kitty weed. I'm sure if you've seen a cat get excited over catnip, you'd readily agree. The comparison is pretty much proven, but it's something a little more. Cats, by their nature, live in a world of sensory enhancement, and catnip allows the senses to run wild. They love how it feels, and they love how they can inhale the aroma. In fact, when I open up the catnip, both of my kitties run into the sensation. But the final part of the catnip fact is that it actually is quite healthy for them. Milk, surprisingly, isn't that good, as it tends to give them a little bit of a need to visit the cat boxes more often. A little is fine, but not much. So yes, cats are a mysterious package, but like most mysteries, they can be solved. Just don't assume one thing until you know what to do with it. And I believe I did that one.
I hope you enjoyed this little wink into a kitty cat's life, and here's my co-star right here. Anyway, as usual, subscribe up here, leave a comment, give it a thumbs up, and a couple of other videos in my, social media. And we'll see you all next time.